Super Bowl is just 72.
Let me just in layman's terms give you a basic overview, then I want to go through mainstream news in your face, backing all of this up.
Not my opinions or assumptions. This is all a matter of public record.
About 150 years ago in England, the royal family publicly funded Galton, Darwin, the Huxleys, the Wedgwoods, and others, the top scientific inventors, the top scientific brains in England, pioneering eugenics, anthropology, sociology, the list goes on and on.
This is going to be interesting. My guest, Mark Dice, has a lot
They went
of
to him and they
views on a lot of different things, but the
government plans say they're spiking the water with sterilants right now. That's why the sperm counts drop over 85% in every country that fluoridates the water, because they don't just add fluoride. And they just look at me and start laughing and say, people are rebelling against the empire worldwide. How do we set up a scientific dictatorship where the people love their love? I guess you're Jack T. Ripper, the crazed general. No, conservatism. I mean, all these white papers than anybody else in the country. How science are says they're This is mainline history. This is on the record. To screw around and play games. But he doesn't want Yellman. And they came back and they said, we have to create social departments, Planned Parenthood. We have to create health departments that will carry out racial...
For democracy, any man is his only begotten son.
To be able to have anything. These people are sick. Put her on screen. It's up on...
We have a society that no one cares more about sports than they do about events that actually affect their lives. I think that's the problem. So I want to take this opportunity to urge people... Hygiene. And we will start taking on Prison Planet poor people's children. We will start sterilizing them. We can start drugging the water. Calling for global one-child dictatorship. We'll put that on screen, and then while I'm talking to callers today, I want you to go in and type starving children. Supply to make massive vultures and go along with our orders. Let's show people vultures we can't put in puppet governments in the third world that we control. Take down the British flag, go to Africa, and spin it, but have covert operations that work through puppet governments and through roundtable groups. So they set up the royal commissions, who then set up the Royal Institute of International Affairs, who set up the Council on Foreign Relations in the United States, and other management groups that actually control the industry, banking, media, academia. And most of the people in those groups aren't aware of the full scope of the operational system. So you have higher level groups that control that. And they call for banking and for fiat currency, going in and buying off third world and first world nations leaders. And to get
Black and Hispanic babies that would have been aborted. There's programs where they pay the mothers not to abort. And then they fund fake liberal Hispanic and Black groups who come and say whites should be able to save the babies. Better the babies thrown in a biohazard plant and began to call themselves genetic mentalists, transhumanists, eugenics orderlies, Jason's name, an environmental study group. They became crypto-eugenicists. And they had stated that they were fear-mongering the planet, and they were I say, feeding, warming, acid rain, etc. And that once the private central banks got the nations without debt, they could bankrupt their outside, use global deals with China, who was their partner in 1975, via treaty that George Bush Sr. got them to sign when he was ambassador to China. They have a one-child policy where babies were taken, or in many cases killed, that's on record, forced abortions on it. And China was told all major industrial facilities moved to China and set up cartel and monopolies. All of their industry is bankrupt over here. The select group of banks financing this. They're willing to sell the operations. The Chinese government will then be set up as a new world superpower by 2010. We're now 2010. Just a few days out. They've announced they are the new superpower. They are the controlling arm. China would then own the majority of British, European, and U.S. debt. They would order things in the U.S. That's why I'm announced yesterday. No doubt. The economy will be completely bankrupt in our cases. If you are too poor, CPS will visit your home and will take your children. School will be year-round. All the government textbooks will keep those science written by Paul Ehrlich, Hospital Worker Sr., and John P. Holdren, current White House scientist, even though that makes their numbers go down. They will then set up a global carbon tax with a ID card issued nationally, globally standardized under a treaty signed in 2000. Everything means everywhere you go, everything you do to track license plate reading cameras already going off in England, Europe, and the U.S. Taxed by the mile, track everywhere you go. When your carbon credits run out, they're already taxed. Taxes will go way up to as much as $10 per mile driven. There will be taxes on all beef, all chicken, all fish. That will be added by a global regulatory body run by the IMF and the World Bank. That is now in the Danish text of the Copenhagen Global Government Treaty. Herman von Rompuy, the new head of the EU, openly states this. Al Gore openly states this. It's all happening. Look at that smile. Everything will systematically and incrementally, so you can't stand up again as easily, but happens overnight and stand up, be implemented. Year-round school, the smiley stay at school until 8, 9, and 9. Everyone will get monthly CPS health department, eugenics visits to your home. And it will have its way with you. This is so unbelievably horrible, ladies and gentlemen, that I shake. I literally woke up at 4 a.m. again this morning, completely freaked out over this because it's all been announced. It's one thing to read State Department Memorandum 200, where Henry Kissinger stated this in 73. It's one thing to read the United Nations Biological Diversity Assessment 96, calling for exterminating 80% of the population. It's one thing to know all this was coming. It's another thing to now see it happening. I want to play Herman von Rompuy, the new head of the EU, saying global governance, the first year of global governance is 2009. Here it is.
2009 is also the first year of global governance, with the establishment of the G20 in the middle of the financial crisis. The climate conference in Copenhagen is another step towards the global management of our planet.
Okay, the global management of our planet through global government, global governance. Here is Al Gore.
It killed me. Over and over again.
Saying the same thing. Calling, here it is.
That will drive the change. And one of the ways it will drive the change is through global governance and global agreements. But the many business leaders who have present here.
That's right, and that's the next key. The Fortune 100, Dutch Royal Shell, ExxonMobil, it's now come out in the climate emails, are running it all. While saying, oh, you're with the oil companies are owned by the big banks and insurance companies. They own this. Now, in Fall of the Republic, it's been out for almost 2 months, before ClimateGate, we have their statements and their documents where the IMF and World Bank will run the planetary government, and you will pay your carbon taxes to them. The treaty was meant to be secret. The new global government treaty was meant to be secret until next week during the 2-week Copenhagen Global Government Conference. But it was leaked 3 days ago to the London Guardian. The UN confirms it is the treaty. It says the UN is only a front. The IMF and World Bank will now set up planetary government. Through the G20, there will be a global authority over all travel, 2% flat tax over every nation paid to the IMF and World Bank, 30% tax on all fossil fuels and natural gas, taxes on all meat, television sets, light bulbs, water. There are over 150 taxes, 700 new bureaucracies. Obama has said, this was in AP 2 days ago, headline, Obama threatens command and control. And he says even if Congress, the Senate won't ratify this, he's going to sign it. He can't sign it and do it if they won't ratify it. But he says, I am a dictator. I'm going to do this. And he's illegally getting $500,000 cash payment from the Nobel Laureate Committee and being given this warmongering peace prize. So we're going into global government, and our Senate's being told, we don't care if you're not going to ratify the treaty. We're going to do it through the bureaucracy and list carbon dioxide as a toxic waste that humans exhale and plants live off of, that plants respirate, that they breathe through photosynthesis. This is all human activity. Copenhagen Climate Summit, on top of that, they'd sold the third world that you're going to get to loot America. You're going to get all these taxes from the same IMF and World Bank that have always been raping the third world through 30% loan sharking rates, where a $1 million loan to Nigeria turns into 45, 55, 65 billion now. It states in here double the energy cuts for Africa, Latin America, and undeveloped Asia, or developing Asia. 15 million starved to death a year. The UN ethanol scam caused an additional 10 million deaths last year. That's official. This is meant for population reduction.